Well, a very pleasant good afternoon. It's Wednesday. It's time for Wednesday webinar. This is going to be our 40th, I believe, webinar over the last couple of years. We have a very interesting topic today. We'll be talking about Solarize Kern County and the benefits that small businesses and individuals and home-based businesses and others have with solar energy and the possibilities that you have for some exciting new programs. I'm Kelly Bearden. I'm the director of the CSU Bakersfield Small Business Development Center, and we are live from the basement at CSUB today. A little bit about the SBDC program as we get going. The Small Business Development Center program provides high quality, no cost consulting. It's done on a confidential basis. We do a lot of things as far as training. We do a number of workshops and conferences. We do our webinar series where we're doing at least 2 webinars a month on a Wednesday. We do in-depth classes and special projects and do a number of things. So this is a unique webinar today. I don't have a consultant that actually does anything particularly in the solar industry, but we have some experts here that will actually answer your questions. Please recall that if you have any questions at all, please type them in and we will get to them. We have a couple of polls that we'll be sending out, so answer the polls. And we're hoping to make this as interactive as possible for you today. At the completion of the webinar, a survey will pop up and we value your input, so please take a few minutes and actually answer the questions, provide your input. If you'd like slides of today's presentation, we can send you those as well. So who I'd like to introduce first is I'd like to introduce our moderator for our program today, and that's Richard D. Chapman. Richard is the CEO of the Kern Economic Development Corporation that provides economic development services for existing and other businesses that would like to do business or more business in Kern County. So Richard, take it away.
Thanks, Kelly, and thanks for your hosting this cutting-edge webinar. We appreciate all that you've done for Kern County, as well as I imagine Inyo and Mono are pleased with how you are reaching a broad audience with programs like these. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to talk about the Solarize program. Actually, Jefferson and Litten will be talking in detail about it. And you can always check out our website, kedc.com, which is our corporation, and the foundation is kedf.org. And the Kern Economic Development Foundation actually is an offshoot of KDC, and the foundation focuses on areas like research. We just commissioned the Milken Institute study, which was released about a week ago on Kern County, the economic roadmap for Kern County. And in addition, we are heading up 2 mentoring workforce development programs. And one relates to energy, and it's called the Alliance of Women in Energy. We mentor students eventually around the county, but right now through Independence High, they have a Energy and Utility Academy. And also we have AMP, which is the Alliance of Medical Professionals. Workforce development is critical to the nation's future as well as Kern County's. And so that component goes hand in hand with economic development. The Solarize program really fits one of the clusters, energy cluster. And for those that are aware of Kern County, yes, we are #1 in oil production county in the country. In addition, we also have the world's largest wind and solar farms in Kern County. So we have all kinds of energy, which that diversity in the energy industry is something that other parts of the country really are envious of, and really proud to have such a portfolio in our county. Kern County actually is the fastest growing economy in the country since '01. But getting back to the Solarize program, we have Jefferson Litten, who is the energy program manager with the Community Environmental Council. And we always talk about best practices. This program has already operated in 10 other parts of the state. And so it has a great track record. Some of my colleagues throughout the state I've talked with about the success they've had. and it's related to residential and small business, commercial solar. And the great thing about this is the end user will end up getting a discounted price, as well as we will create construction jobs. So it's not just the residential or commercial side, it's the jobs created in the installation, family wage jobs, which are so important to us. So Jefferson has really been an amazing steward for these programs, and we're happy to roll that out in Kern County. And he will be canvassing the county. I think tonight he will be in Rosamond talking, and it's all about as well the community outreach and talking about the program as it relates to the end user. So I will, without further ado, want to introduce Jefferson Litten. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the introduction, Richard. The Community Environmental Council is very excited to be partnered with the Kern Economic Development Foundation to bring the Solarize program to Kern County. As Richard alluded to, we've run this program in 10 other communities across the state, and thus far we've helped over 400 homeowners and small businesses add solar. I also wanted to thank Kelly for organizing this Wednesday webinar. It's an honor to be on the show. So digging into the program here. So basically what Solarize Kern County is it's a limited time group purchase program for solar panels. So it looks like we got a question coming up here. So the question is, will this family cover the multifamily solar incentives? This webinar won't cover that topic specifically. I recommend that you go to California Solar Initiative's website, and they can go into great detail about how that state incentive is available. This one's going to be mostly geared towards single-family homes and small businesses. And I think that we've got a poll that's going to be popping up here in just 1 second. And you can see that question pop up on your screen.
Yeah, and the question is, I plan to get solar within 3 months, with 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12, over a year from now, and I'm still on the fence. So vote away. And got a few responses. It's coming as closed, but really kind of across the board on what's going on as far as people wanting to get solar. So another question, another poll we have that we're launching is my barriers. What are my barriers to getting solar? It's the economic cost is a concern. I'm waiting for new, better solar technology. Can be a negative issue when I sell my home. I have not had the time, and of course, the panels are ugly. So please vote. We got a few votes coming in now. And I know that there are 11 people viewing this in the Kern River Valley, and you only get 1 vote. So right now it's coming back where we have 40% of the vote in, and it's continuing to rise. We'll give you another couple seconds on this. And the biggest concern we're getting is the economic cost, being 67%. 17%, it can be a negative issue when we sell. And also 13%, perhaps there could be new technologies. 80% voted. Thank you for voting. We're going to close the poll now and get back to Jefferson to get it. That gives them a better idea of exactly where we're going with this.
Okay.
So there's your final tabulation, and Jefferson, back to you.
Okay. Let me tally down these results here. So interesting results coming back from this poll question. The vast majority of people saying that the number one barrier to adopting solar is the economic cost. And we're going to dig into that question a great deal. And so you can see exactly what the numbers are, how much it might cost if you were to consider going solar. Another response out there was, can you pull down?
Yeah, and at least no one thinks that the panels are ugly.
Yeah,
so
we've come that far.
Yeah.
Another thing was that people were worried about the potential impacts if they look to sell their homes. That's something I'll address during my talk as well. And then we'll also talk about people that noted they might be waiting for a new technology. So we'll get to all those questions as we go through this webinar. So our agenda for this talk this morning or this afternoon is first I'll give you a brief introduction to my organization, the Community Environmental Council, as well as the KEDF, which Richard talked about briefly. Then we're going to take a look at your PG&E bills so that you can understand how adding solar to your home or small business might help you save on those bills.
And obviously, there's also some Edison.
Some Southern California Edison territory if you're in that territory as well. Then we're going to talk about the basics of solar, look at what the technology looks like if you were to put it up on your roof, how that would look. Then we're going to explain how Solarize Kern County works to make it simpler and more affordable for you to go solar. And then we're going to talk in good detail about all the numbers around money and going solar. So we'll talk about the different financing options. We'll talk about the difference between a lease and a power purchase agreement. We'll talk about what a cash purchase will look like. So we'll walk you through that step by step so you can understand all your options if you're considering going solar. All right. So briefly, the Community Environmental Council, we are a nonprofit. Our mission is basically to help communities gain renewable energy. And the simplest way to help those communities gain that renewable energy is through solar energy for both residential and small commercial. The KEDS mission is to help businesses reach their full economic potential and support local businesses and local employees. So Solarize Kern County is a great synergy between our two organizations because one, we're promoting that solar energy, and we're also, helping out local businesses and creating local jobs. So the goals of running the program are first, to increase the amount of renewable energy directly in line with CEC's mission. Second, to support local businesses and the local economy and really grow the entire solar industry. We do a great deal of education and outreach through the Solarize program, thus elevating the discussion about solar. So more people start talking to their neighbors or fellow businesses about the benefits of solar, and you see increased solar adoption and the entire industry grows. The next two bullet points listed here are from the perspective of the homeowner or the small business. One is through the program, we want to reduce your costs to go solar through the group purchasing option, and then ensure that you're getting a top quality installation from a company with a proven track record of the highest level of customer service. And then lastly, as part of the program, any homeowner or small business that goes solar, our installer partner actually pays a small fee to our organizations that help cover our program costs and help us to continue to run the Solarize program. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about solar. So the benefits of solar, hopefully these are pretty clear by now, but one is you're using a renewable local energy source that is going to last for 2 billion years. You're harnessing free solar energy and using that free solar energy to eliminate a good portion of your electrical bill. One thing that people don't know about solar, and this sort of goes to one of the concerns about wondering about reselling your home that came up in our poll, is that going solar can increase the value of your home or your commercial property. The Wall Street Journal last year published a report done by the Lawrence Berkeley National Lab, and it compared properties, comparable properties, those with solar and those without. And it found that those properties with solar panels on the roof sold for an average of $15,000 more than the comparable properties without. So if you do choose to move out of your home or move out of your business, your investment in solar is an investment that you can recoup when you choose to do that. Also, if you choose to stay in your home or stay in your commercial property, you're going to get a great return on your investment. With the cost of panels right now, the cost of panels have fallen by about 70% since 2011. So if you opted to go the purchase route, you could see you pay yourself that investment off in, say, 5 to 10 years. The panels have guarantees to perform and to last for 25 years and will likely last another 5 to 10 years beyond that. So once you've actually paid that investment off, you're basically getting 20 plus years of free electricity from your solar panels. Now, if you opted to go solar via the route of a lease, through a lease or a power purchase agreement, basically you can go solar for zero money down and see 20 to 25% savings in your utility bills in your first month. Another great thing about going solar is you can protect yourself from ever increasing utility rates. PG&E in Southern California Edison rates increased by on average about 5% a year. If you go solar, you can either lock in your cost for electricity or pay off your investment and start getting free electricity, and you've protected yourself from those increasing electricity rates. So,
and I know Jefferson, looking at, we look at maps in terms of the wind, sweet spot for wind and solar. Obviously we have oil, but we're one of the top places in the country for irradiation, as they call it. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have an incredible solar resource, not only here in California, but specifically here in Kern County. Abundant sunshine. So it just makes sense to tap into that free resource and start eliminating your utility bill that way. So, Kelly, can we check in with questions, see if any questions have come up?
Yeah, and please do ask questions if we have some available. And I have a question that isn't actually on here, but how soon do you hope to implement the program, and when is there a timeline for me signing up?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kelly. So we launched our program back in February. So we've been up for about a month and a half, and about 74 homeowners and small businesses have signed up to get quotes through the program already. And the program's going to run through May 16th. So if you're interested in participating, or at least, seeing what it might cost to go solar these days, I recommend you go to either kedc.com. There'll be a link there to a sign-up sheet, or solarizekern.org, where we have more information about the program, and you can sign up, and we'll get you set up that way. So,
I think we have Kelly's utility bill up now.
Yeah. So this is a typical PG&E bill for residential, and we're going to walk through this step by step. Now, one thing about PG&E's residential tariffs is they're set up in a tiered system. So basically, I'm going to go to the next slide, and this is going to explain it a little bit better. So as you progress through the month, PG&E is going to total up the amount of electricity measured in kilowatt hours that you use across that month. Now, as the month starts, you're going to be here in Tier 1, where the electricity is pretty cheap, on the order of about 16 cents per kilowatt hour. But once your usage passes a certain threshold, you jump up to Tier 2 at 19 cents. Still in Tier 1 and Tier 2, this electricity is pretty cheap. But what happens is once your usage passes a certain threshold over a month, say right around 400 kilowatt hours, you jump up to Tier 3, where the electricity gets really, really expensive. And this is when your bill starts getting high very, very quickly. So the object when you go solar is you want to put solar panels up on your roof, start generating your own electricity, and that's going to keep you locked solidly down here in Tier 1, where the electricity is pretty cheap. So generally when you go solar, you size your system to offset about 80 to 90% of your electrical usage. And that's going to keep you in the lower tiers where the electricity is cheap. And right around there, you've eliminated, say, 90 to 95% of what your PG&E or your Southern California Edison bill is. I should back up just 1 second and explain what a kilowatt hour is. So, say you have a light bulb that's a 100-watt light bulb. If you were to keep that light bulb on for an hour, then you've used 100 watt hours. So you add that all up, and that's how you get the measure of electricity, the kilowatt hours. All right. So moving on to the next slide, and again, I want to reiterate that this is a residential tariff structure, not a small commercial tariff structure. So looking at this next bill, this is a commercial bill, and it's a little bit more complicated. So in a commercial bill, you're not only going to get charged for the amount of electricity that you use over the entire month measured in kilowatt hours, you also get charged for how much power you need at one time, at one 15-minute increment over the entire 31 days of the month. So you can think about it as kilowatt hours would be, say, a bucket of water. Say water is all the electricity that you used. The amount of power is the size of the pipe that delivered all that electricity to you. So if you have a really, really high power demand at one point, you're going to see a demand charge here. You see this arrow that actually gets really high. So one nice thing about solar is that if you're generating electricity when your peak demand is occurring, you can reduce that demand charge and reduce your bill. The other thing about commercial tariffs is that they're set up under time of use. So you're going to be paying different amounts for electricity at different times during the day. And this is a time of use A1 structure for smaller business customers. So if you were at this rate, you would have, this is without a demand charge. So if you had a demand charge, these prices per kilowatt hour would be slightly cheaper. But this is the winter right here. And so you can see in the winter, in the off-peak hours, you're paying about 16 cents per kilowatt hour. When you move to the peak, which is basically all the day in the winter from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m., it jumps up to 17.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And then you look and it kind of averages out to about 16 cents. In the winter, our electricity is a lot cheaper than it is in the summer. There's a lot less demand for electricity, so the utilities are charging us less. In the summer, it's a different picture though. So in the summer, there are 3 peak times: your off-peak, your partial peak, and your on-peak. So you can see here in the off-peak, you're paying 22 cents. That's essentially the nighttime hours. Once the sun comes up, sorry, let me skip a page. It's about 25 cents at the partial peak, from 8:30 to noon and from 6 to 9:30. And the point where the electricity is really expensive is from noon to 6 p.m. That's when you're on peak, and they're charging you the highest premium for electricity. But one of the nice things is that if you go solar and you're on time of use, you're actually generating electricity during these peak hours from noon to 6. That's when you're seeing your peak production. So you're offsetting your own use. And we'll also talk about this in a second through a program called net metering. If you generate more electricity than you use, you can actually push it back onto the grid and you get credits at this high value rate of 26 cents for the
So Jefferson, with the residential pricing schedule be very similar?
So you do have the option to switch to a residential time of use, and it would be essentially similar to this. The prices will be slightly different within each time period, but you can switch to time of use. One thing that you want to do, though, if you do switch to time of use, is you want to make sure that you don't really have a lot of usage during the peak hours of the day. So if you're at home and running your air conditioner, then at time of use probably doesn't make a lot of sense for you if you're going to be using a lot of electricity from noon to 6 p.m.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Kelly, any questions about that? See if anything's come up.
And do ask questions, please. Jefferson's here to answer your questions. And here is a couple of questions that are coming up.
Yep. What about on manufactured homes? You can definitely put solar up on manufactured homes. The solar installer that we've partnered with works with a variety of different roof types. You can work with standing seam, even tile roofs, concrete tile roofs. So sometimes there's different costs associated with these different roofs. Tile roof is a particularly expensive type of roof to install on, but you can definitely would be able to work with manufactured homes. So thank you for that question, Richard. All right, so here is a typical residential solar system, and it starts with the solar panels up on your roof. And I'm going to try to give you guys a brief explanation of how a solar panel works. skipping out on a lot of hard science. So a solar panel consists of 2 layers of semiconducting silicon with a junction in between them. What happens is the sun's rays come down, they strike this solar panel and knock an electron free, which jumps across that junction. Now, if you connect the 2 sides of the solar panel in a circuit, those electrons can flow freely, generate an electrical current that you can use to do work, say like powering your light bulbs. So that's a solar panel, skipping out on a lot of complicated chemistry and physics. So let me go back. One thing about solar panels is they generate direct current. So unfortunately, all of our appliances are designed to run on alternating current. So the computer that you're probably watching this on right now is running on alternating current. So the next link in the chain is that direct current that comes off the solar panels flows into this box over here with the number 2 next to it, called an inverter. An inverter would more aptly be called a converter, because what it's doing is it's converting that direct current into alternating current, which can be then fed into your electrical panel, power all the load in your home, and your panel is going to be connected to this meter over here, which is bidirectional. And what I mean by bidirectional is it's not only going to measure any electricity that you're taking off the grid that's going into your house, it's going to measure any excess electricity beyond what your home or small business is using that you push back onto the grid. So you get credit for all those excess kilowatt hours that you're pushing onto the grid. And so at the end of each month, PG&E or Southern California Edison, they're going to take a meter read for the net amount of energy that you've used across that month. And then they're going to give you a statement about that. At the end of 12 months, they add up all of those end of the month meter reads, and you pay your bill for the net amount of energy that you've used across the entire year. Okay? So when you go solar, no longer are you paying each month for the electricity you use each month. You're just going to pay a flat connection fee of about $2 to $4 to Southern California Edison or to PG&E. And then at the end of 12 months, they're going to give you a bill for the net amount of electricity that you've used. Now, in the case that you generated more electricity than you've consumed, PG&E or Southern California Edison is actually going to issue a check for any excess electricity that you have. Now, before you get excited and say, finally PG&E is going to be paying me money after I've been giving it to them for years, they unfortunately only compensate you for that electricity at the wholesale rate. So they're going to pay you about 3.5 or 4 cents for that kilowatt hour. So if you think back to the other slides, as a resident in Tier 1, we're paying 16 cents per kilowatt hour. So it doesn't make sense to oversize your system and say, this is how I'm going to stick it to PG&E, right?
Well, and I didn't read out your full resume, Jefferson, but Jefferson also has experience in wind energy and hydrogen infrastructure. So anyone wants to pick his brain on those technologies, please feel free to give him a call.
Yeah, absolutely. I would be happy to field those questions. I did work in those industries, but the one I'm most excited about, after that experience is I really think that distributed solar, like putting solar panels up on your roof, is the simplest solution. It's easier to implement, and you get to capture all the benefits of that. I think we had a question pop up. Or no?
Lots of
There are
questions.
lots of
Okay.
questions. Okay.
Okay, the first question. I have 3 neighbors that have had solar installed over the last 6 months. They are not hooked up to the grid. Why does it take so long?
Yeah. So,
Thank you, Kim.
yeah, that's a great question. And 6 months is, I would say, a very, very long time. And in that case, I would be pretty upset with the utility, whichever utility it is. So your system, if you go solar, is going to get up, probably will go up within 6 to 8 weeks if you actually deciding that you want to go solar. That's pulling the permit. And then the installer is going to contact the utility for them to sign off an interconnection. And typically that happens, within 2 weeks of them being done. But in some cases, the utilities are really lagging, and it's something that my organization is working on as well to try to hold the utilities a little bit more accountable. But I would recommend contacting local government representatives, and they can put some pressure on the utility as well.
And the next question is, what are the brands of panels available through the collective?
Yeah, so through this program, we have the REC Group panel. And the REC Group panel is a Norwegian company. Their manufacturing is in Singapore, and it's a tier 1 panel. And what I mean by tier 1 is Bloomberg does a rating system of panels based on their production capacity and really the bankability of the company behind the panel. So what Bloomberg, the financial services company, is doing is basically saying that we believe this company is going to be around and they have a top quality panel. So we set minimum performance standards for any panel that is going to be part of our program. And so that's another way that we can help protect the consumer.
Our next question is, are the panels damaged or do they deteriorate faster due to snow, like in some of the areas in Kern County?
No, the panels are designed to withstand all sorts of extreme weather. Not only cold weather, they're designed to withstand hail strikes at 50 miles per hour. So they're tested to do that. They're very durable, and the panels also carry performance guarantees. So all the solar panels in this program are guaranteed to produce at a certain level over the entire life of the panels for 25 years. And if a panel is underproducing, the panel manufacturer is going to replace that for you for free. The panels also carry a 10-year workmanship warranty. So for 10 years, the panel is going to be covered and the labor is going to be covered. After 10 years, the panel will be covered, but you'll have to pay a little bit of labor if the panel goes down.
So actually, the snow might be beneficial in cleaning the solar panel and keeping it clean.
Yeah. So yeah, the really nice thing about solar panels is they don't really require much maintenance at all. The only maintenance for a solar panel is basically just rinsing it off once a year. And if a snowstorm can do that for you, then that's one less thing you have to do.
Richard asked about the cost of a standard 1,500 square foot home, and I'm sure you're going to get into that, Richard. Jefferson?
Yeah, so I will definitely address that in a later slide, Richard. It's less your square footage is a concern. More is going to be your electrical usage. That's going to size your system. I mean, you could have a 1,500 square foot home that has a pool, a hot tub, an air conditioner, 7 big LED televisions, and they're going to have different usage from another 1,500 square foot home.
And Stan asks, we have a Spanish tile roof. What are the concerns for installing solar panels?
Okay, great question, Stan. So with Spanish tile roof, it is a delicate roof tile, but fortunately, our solar partner Sunrun has what they'll do to install in Spanish tile is they actually remove the Spanish tile below where the panels are going to be mounted, and then they put down comp shingle roofing below that. And then they'll mount the panels so that they're going to be flush with the existing Spanish tile roofs that you have up there. So it's a really elegant, sort of seamless looking installation. There is an added cost to that because it is a little bit more labor intensive for the installer, but it can definitely work with that Spanish tile. All right. So my organization, we've worked with a number of different groups to help them go solar. We've worked with small businesses, we've worked with schools, we've worked with nonprofits, and we've worked a lot with homeowners. And working with all these different groups, we kept seeing these same questions come up. How do I know if I'm getting a reputable contractor that's going to do right by me? How do I know if I'm getting a good panel? How do I know if I'm getting an affordable price for this? And how on earth am I going to pay for this investment? And literally, we kept seeing these 4 questions over and over and over again. So faced with these questions, we started doing research about ways in which we could simplify the process for a homeowner or small business to go solar. And we found out of a program called Solarize Portland in Portland, Oregon, where neighborhood groups were banding together, partnering with a local installer, And that installer was offering a discounted price. And in just a few months, they were seeing dramatic increases in the amount of solar adoption. So we found out about that program, contacted the program organizers, and in 2011, we launched our first Solarize program and helped 50 homeowners go solar in just 3 months. And as I mentioned before, we've since replicated the program, so now we've helped more than 400 homeowners and small businesses go solar.
Well, if it can work in Portland, I would assume it can work even better in Kern County.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Portland's a pretty rainy place. So if solar makes sense up there, it definitely makes sense down here. All right, do you want to answer one more question before?
One more question before we move on.
Yeah, our ground-based installation is part of this program. Yes, there are options for ground mounts. So if you don't want to put the solar panels up on your roof, or you have a fair amount of property and you would just rather put it on the ground, you have that option as well. There is going to be a little bit of an additional cost for a ground mount, simply because you have to pay for that hardware to put the panels on. All right. So we are happy to bring the Solarize program here to Kern County, and here's how it addresses those questions that I mentioned earlier. How do I know if I'm getting the right contractor? The first thing that KEDF and CEC did when we were setting up this program is we assembled a committee of local experts with expertise in construction, finance, solar technologies. Actually, Kelly Bearden was one of those experts that we had. And what that committee did is they sent out an invitation to the local installers to submit proposals to be partners for the program. As those proposals came in, we took a very close look at each company. We looked at their financials, we looked at their management, we looked at the technologies that they offer, we talked to homeowners and businesses that they'd worked with before. And through that process, we selected as our partner for this program, Sunrun, based on the top quality installations that they do, the level of customer service that they've offered, and the technologies that they're offered. So as a consumer, you can have the peace of mind that the contractor that you are working with has been vetted and is offering you a great product at a great price.
And Jefferson Sunrun has been part of previous Solarize programs successfully, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We've partnered with Sunrun for a number of our Solarize programs. Sunrun was actually formerly known as REC Solar, who you may have heard of. REC Solar has probably done as many solar installations in Kern County as any other company. And then they merged with Sunrun so that they could offer both a purchase option and a lease option. Now, how do I know if I'm selecting the right panel? I touched on this a little bit before. We set minimum performance standards for any panel that's going to be part of our program. And as I said earlier, we get all tier 1 panels coming to the program. How much does solar cost? Know that you guys are getting a fantastic price for solar. Sunrun can offer a discount to you for a couple of reasons. One is that they're confident they're going to do a little bit more volume through this program, so they can offer you a better price that way. 2 is they've already specified the panels that they're going to be offering, so as they go to their distributors, they get more leverage around price and they can pass those savings on to you. And 3 is customer acquisition is a huge cost to any solar company. Through this program, we're doing the outreach and the education, so the company Sunrun can save those advertising and marketing dollars and then pass that savings on to you as a consumer. So what ends up happening through Solarize is you end up getting a market-leading price lower than what Sunrun would normally offer through the program. We're totally transparent about our pricing, so other companies might come out and try to match the pricing or even beat the pricing that Sunrun's offering, but I can't guarantee that those companies have been through the same vetting process. And then how do I pay for my solar? We're going to talk about that in great detail here, about all the different options for paying for solar. So to be eligible for Solarize Kern County, you need to simply own a home or a commercial property in Kern County, have an appropriate roof or open space for solar. What I mean by appropriate is a south-facing roof is ideal. East and west works as well. You also want to take a look at the integrity of your roof. If you think that you're going to need to replace your roof within 5 to 10 years, you're probably going to want to do that before you put solar panels up, because otherwise, when it's time to replace your roof, you're going to have to pay for the labor to take the panels down and put them back up. One nice thing, though, is that there is a federal tax credit, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But if you need to do a re-roof, you can actually apply the federal tax credit to the section of roof underneath your solar panels. So you can get a 30% subsidy from the federal government for that re-roofing project, just for the section beneath the panels, not for your entire roof. Solarize programs, as I mentioned before, are by definition limited time programs. So to secure the pricing that Sunrun's offering, you would need to sign up by May 16th. So I touched on the tax credit available from the federal government. It is 30% of your total system cost, and that's going to be available for all solar arrays that go up by December 31st, 2016. So no matter what, if you're looking at solar now or if you're looking at it later, you definitely want to go solar before December 31st, 2016, because we don't anticipate Congress continuing the federal tax credit, or certainly continuing it at 30%. Net metering was the program I was talking about before, where you get credit from the utility for any excess electricity you push back onto the grid. That program is only going to be guaranteed through the end of 2017. So another incentive to move, if not now, in the next couple of years, to go solar. Another thing that you can consider doing is adding an electric vehicle. Electric vehicles and solar pair very, very well together. So you not only have eliminated your electrical bill, you could eliminate your gasoline bill as well. And there's some great lucrative incentives available from both the state and the feds if you were to consider adding an electric vehicle. And then you can tell your friends that you're driving on sunshine, which is kind of a cool idea as well. So this gets to the cost question that I think came up before. And what this graph does here, or this table does here, is it compares two prices. One is the base price for Solarize Kern County. That's the $350 per watt. And the next price is the average price in Kern County using the best available data that we have for average price. And there's an asterisk here, and it's a bit of an asterisk. So this price is the average price in Kern County for systems that went up in the past 12 months that were able to capture the state rebate. So the state rebate expired last year, so this is a little bit dated, but it's the best available data that we can have for average price. So looking at the two numbers, through Kern County, your upfront cost is going to be about $4,500 cheaper. In both cases, you capture the 30% tax credit. So at the bottom line, through Solarize Kern County, you've saved $3,000 off of this average price. Now, included in that end cost of $10,000 is a fee of $630 that the installer pays at no additional cost to you. So this is not in addition to the $10,000 that they pay to us to help cover our program costs and help us continue to run the program. So does solar still seem expensive? And let's pause here and see if we have any questions.
There's a question on net metering. On net metering, is it figured based on a daily basis or an hourly basis or a monthly basis?
Yeah, so basically the way net metering works is your meter can spin both forwards and backwards, okay? So if you're taking electricity off of the grid, it's going to spin forwards and it's going to give you, they take it as a monthly reading. But if you start generating electricity, it's going to spin backwards. So say that you've used, say, 100 kilowatt hours of electricity, and then you start generating 85 kilowatt hours of electricity, more than what you used. So your meter is going to spin backwards for that 85 kilowatt hours. So your net for that month at that point would only be 15 kilowatt hours. Okay. So great question.
10 more minutes. So.
Yeah. All right. I think we can just cancel this. So we're going to talk a little bit about solar financing here. And before you run away from all these different blurbs, what this is a solar financing decision tree, which is going to help you identify what might be the best way that you could go solar. So if you're going solar, the first question you want to ask yourself is, do I have the capital to purchase the system outright? Our advice to homeowners or businesses is that if you do have the capital to purchase the system, to definitely do so. That's going to offer you the best return on investment. The next question you want to ask is, can I take advantage of that 30% federal tax credit? Do I have the tax liability that I can capture that benefit? And if you do, just go ahead and pay up front, and you're going to get a great return on investment from that investment. If you cannot take advantage of the federal tax credit, a good option could be a prepaid lease. Now, the way the prepaid lease works is you enter into a 20-year term with a company that owns the system up on your roof. And so they're going to take the tax credit. They're also going to take some accelerated depreciation, and they're going to build that into a single upfront cost for you that would be pretty comparable to what you would pay if you just paid up front. So you enter into a 20-year term. You basically pay for all the electricity that you're going to get over those 20 years up front. They own the system on your roof, so they're responsible for the operations and the maintenance of it. And then at the end of 20 years, you have a couple options. One is the company will come down and they'll take the system off your roof at no additional cost to you. Two is you could enter into a new lease and they would just take it down, put new technology up. Or three, and this is what the vast majority of people are going to do, is you have the option to purchase the system at fair market value. And then you can just continue to have that for the rest of the life of the system.
And what if you sell your house before then?
Yeah, great question. And that was one of the questions that came up. So if you sell your house before then, it's basically just a piece of paper that signs the lease over to the person that has just bought your house. And generally, if someone can afford to purchase your house, they're going to have a credit score that should qualify for the lease. But that's a great question. And at the end of the 20 years, leases have only been around for about 8 to 9 years. So we haven't been to the end of the 20-year lease yet. So we don't know what fair market value is. But we assume it's going to be pretty cheap. I would say $1,000 or even significantly less than that. Because if you think about it, it's probably going to cost that company more money to send a crew out to your house to take down 20-year-old panels than it would to just sell it to you. So if you don't have the capital and you're interested in financing, here in Kern County, there's a number of avenues available to you to help finance an investment in solar. One is traditional loans. Both Admirals Bank and Rabobank, as well as a couple credit unions, offer what they call solar loans or green loans. There's also something called PACE, Property Assessed Clean Energy, where you're borrowing against the value of your house and you may repay that loan as you pay your property tax each year. And there's a couple companies that are operating here in Kern County, California First, Hero, and Fig Tree, that can offer that financing as well. So if you have equity built up in your home and you're willing to refinance, you can always go the home equity line of credit. But any of you that have been through the mortgage process or refinancing process, know that it can be a little bit onerous to go through that. And then if you have a credit score greater than, I have 680 here, but Sunrun can actually work with a credit score greater than 650. You could enter into a solar lease or a power purchase agreement. And Sunrun offers the power purchase agreement where, similar to a prepaid lease, you enter into a 20-year term. They own the system on your roof. They're responsible for the operations and the maintenance. And then you're paying for the electricity per unit energy per kilowatt hour. And what you're paying is less than what your average price is to PG&E. So the great thing about a PPA is you could go solar for zero money down and see 20 to 25% savings in your utility bill in the first month. Definitely opened up solar to a lot of people that couldn't afford it before or couldn't come up with the capital before. If you don't have a credit score greater than 650, now might not be the right time to go solar. So we're going to go briefly through these last slides here. We just got about 5 minutes. This is the case study of the Ulep family, who they were paying $125 for electricity. So you take that $125, you build in a 5% increase in their utility rates, and over the course of 20 years, they were going to be spending $44,000 on electricity. So they first looked at a purchase option, and that the system that they looked at was going to wipe out basically 100% of their usage. It was going to cost them $15,000. So paying $15,000, they would just be left with total bills going to the utility over 20 years of about $500. That's just that $2 or $4 charge. The Ulep family couldn't come up with $15,000, so then they looked at a lease. And so through their lease, they asked how much they could pay to eliminate an escalator. So one thing you want to look out for in a power purchase agreement or a lease is an escalator. And what that is an annual increase in what your monthly payment is or what your price per kilowatt hour. Generally, those are about 2 to 3%. You want to look out for escalators because that means that each year you're going to be having a higher cost for electricity. And if you think back to one of the benefits of solar, is that you're protecting yourself from the utilities increasing rates. So if you have an escalator built into your lease, you've diminished that benefit. So the ULEPs asked, what can we do to eliminate an escalator? They put $5,000 down. Now they pay $70 a month for their electricity. Now, over the course of 20 years, through that lease, they basically cut their total electrical costs in half to around $22,000. So if you're interested in participating in the Solarize Kern County program, I'll talk a little bit in a second about how you can sign up. And basically, if you sign up for the program, myself or my associate April will give you a call. We'll answer any questions that you might have, help you get set up with the program. Then we'll pass that information on to Sunrun, who will call you, ask you some more detailed questions about your usage, and then set up an appointment for a consultant to come take a look at your house. The consultant's going to look at your usage, look at your roof, and design a custom solar solution for you and put that all in a proposal. The nice thing about the proposals is it doesn't cost you any money to get a proposal, and there's lots of valuable information in the proposal. It's going to tell you how much electricity your panels generate each month, how much you save each month, how much you save each year, how long it's going to take you to pay off that investment. So you get all the numbers in front of you, and you can simply decide, oh, solar works for me, or solar doesn't work for me. And if it doesn't work for you, then at least you knew how much it cost to go solar back in 2015. So if it does work for you and you sign the dotted line, Sunrun's going to take care of all the messy paperwork for you. They're going to go file the permit for you. They're basically going to take care of everything, take care of your interconnection, and then get your system up. It generally takes about 6 to 8 weeks after you've signed your contract. The bulk of that time is sort of wrapped up in then pulling the permit from your local jurisdiction. And then once you get your system up and the utility signs off, you flip the switch. You've started using the sun to generate your own electricity and to help cut away at your utility bill. It's a pretty elegant solution. So here's a couple ways that you can sign up. You can go to either of these two websites listed here. And then also we're hosting a couple workshops coming up. There's one tonight in Rosamond, and the next one in Bakersfield is on April 21st. So we encourage you to tell your friends and neighbors, come out to the workshops. They can get the same education that you did, and see if there's any questions here. Yep. So was that amount correct? Less than $11,000 to install? Yeah, so that was for a 4.2 kilowatt system, which corresponds roughly to a $170 bill. So if your bill is right around there, after you've captured the tax credit, you could go solar for under $11,000. Yes. If your bill is going to be a little bit higher, obviously your cost will be a little bit higher. Yeah, Kern County has implemented a PACE program. So in Kern County, you have the HERO program that's available across the entire county. And I'm not sure if they've adopted the California First program as well. So I'm kind of running out of time here. And I'll pass it back to Kelly.
Well, great. Well, thank you. And it's a great topic, a great opportunity to get solar. Go to an alternative energy source. We're out of time for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another webinar. If you please stick around and fill out the survey, we'll gladly send the handouts to you if you would like them via email in the next couple of days. So fill out your survey And for Richard Chapman and Jefferson Litten, I'm Kelly Bearden. Have a great day. Goodbye now.